friends, history buffs, story lovers. Today, we're diving into the life of a man whose name is synonymous with power, ambition, and betrayal. A man who was both a celebrated hero of the people and a dictator who dismantled a 500-year-old republic. Let's unravel the epic tale of Gaius Julius Caesar. Born in 100 BC into a noble but not particularly wealthy family, young Caesar's world was Rome, a city buzzing with political intrigue and military ambition. He claimed descent from the goddess Venus, a bold statement that hinted at the colossal self-belief that would define his life. His early years were turbulent. He was connected by marriage to the populist faction led by Marius, and when the rival general Sulla seized power, Caesar's life was in danger. He was forced to flee Rome, an experience that taught him a crucial lesson. In the game of Roman politics, you either win or you die. Returning to Rome after Sulla's death, Caesar began his climb up the cursus honorum, the traditional sequence of public offices. He was a brilliant orator, a charismatic politician, and he knew how to win over the common people. He spent lavishly on public games and works, running up massive debts but earning the love of the masses. They saw him as their champion, a man who understood their struggles against the entrenched wealthy aristocracy. In 60 BC, Caesar made a game-changing move. He formed a secret alliance with two of Rome's most powerful men, Pompey the Great, a renowned general, and Crassus, the richest man in Rome. This informal pact, known as the First Triumvirate, was a political powerhouse. Together, they bypassed the Senate and controlled the state. Caesar secured the prestigious position of consul, and then, crucially, the governorship of Gaul. This is where the legend of Caesar the General was forged. For nearly a decade, he led his legions in a series of brilliant and brutal campaigns. He conquered all of Gaul, a territory covering modern-day France, Belgium, and parts of surrounding countries. He was the first Roman general to cross the Rhine River into Germania and to invade Britain. His dispatches from the front, the famous commentaries on the Gallic War, were masterpieces of propaganda, cementing his image back in Rome as a military genius and a national hero. His soldiers adored him. He shared their hardships, knew their names, and led from the front. This loyalty was absolute, and it would become his greatest weapon. But while Caesar's star was rising, his allies in Rome were growing nervous. Crassus was killed in battle, and Pompey, now aligned with the conservative senators, saw his former partner's power and popularity as a direct threat to his own and to the Republic. The Senate, with Pompey's backing, delivered an ultimatum: disband your army and return to Rome as a private citizen to face prosecution for your actions as consul. Caesar knew this was a trap. To return without his army meant ruin and likely death. He stood at the bank of a small river in northern Italy, the Rubicon, which marked the legal boundary of his province. To cross it with his army was an act of treason and civil war. In January of 49 BC, with the legendary words "Alea iacta est," the die is cast, Caesar led his legion across the Rubicon. He had chosen his path. The choice was war. Pompey and the senators were caught completely off guard by the speed of his advance. They fled Italy, scrambling to raise armies in the east. Caesar, master of the blitzkrieg, secured Italy in a matter of weeks, famously remarking, "I came, I saw, I conquered," or Veni, Vidi, Vici. The civil war that followed raged across the Roman world, from Spain to Greece, Egypt to Africa. The decisive battle was at Pharsalus in Greece. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Caesar's tactical genius and the unmatched experience of his veterans delivered a crushing victory against Pompey's forces. Pompey himself fled to Egypt, seeking refuge, but was assassinated as he stepped ashore. A grim end for the man once called Pompey the Great. Caesar pursued his enemies to Egypt, where he became famously entangled with the young queen, Cleopatra. He supported her claim to the throne, and their political alliance and personal relationship resulted in a son, Caesarion. After settling affairs in Egypt and mopping up the last pockets of senatorial resistance in Africa and Spain, Caesar returned to Rome, not just as a hero, but as the undisputed master of the Roman world. So, the hero's journey is complete. But this is where the story takes its darkest turn. Back in Rome, Caesar was showered with honors. He was made dictator perpetuo, dictator for life. This was the moment the Republic truly died. He initiated a vast program of reforms. He granted citizenship to people in the provinces, reformed the calendar, creating the Julian calendar we largely use today, and launched massive public building projects. For the common people, he was a savior who brought stability and prosperity after decades of civil strife. But for the old Roman aristocracy, he was a tyrant who had crushed their ancient liberties under the heel of his military boot. They saw him behaving more like a king, a title Romans had despised since they overthrew their last monarch centuries before. Whispers turned to plots. A group of senators calling themselves the Liberators believed there was only one way to restore the Republic: assassination. On the Ides of March, March 15th, 44th BC, as Caesar entered the Senate House, the conspirators struck. They surrounded him, stabbing him 23 times. Among the assassins was a man Caesar had pardoned and treated like a son, Marcus Junius Brutus. According to legend, Caesar's final words were, "Et tu, Brute?" "You too, Brutus," a heartbreaking expression of betrayal. He fell at the foot of a statue of his great rival, Pompey. The liberators believed they had saved the Republic. They were tragically wrong. Caesar's murder didn't restore the old system. It plunged Rome into another round of brutal civil wars. From the chaos, one man would eventually emerge as the ultimate victor: Caesar's adopted son and heir, Octavian, who would become Augustus, the first Roman emperor. So, who was Julius Caesar? A hero who championed the people and expanded Rome's glory? Or a power-hungry dictator who destroyed a republic for his own ambition? The truth is, he was both. He was a product of his time, a ruthless and brilliant man who played the game of Roman politics to its ultimate bloody conclusion. His life is a timeless lesson on the nature of power, ambition, and the fragile line between a republic and an empire. His legacy is so profound that his name became a title: Kaiser in German, Tsar in Russian, a synonym for emperor for millennia to come. What do you think? Was Caesar a hero or a villain? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next historical deep dive. See you next time.